All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to call this meeting of the November 14th regular school board meeting for the Webster Groves School District to order. If you would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. All right, did everyone have a chance to review the agenda? If there are no changes or additions, I would take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, that carries 6-0. All right, first thing on the agenda is the public comment section. We did not receive any written public comments prior to this meeting, but the board does take in-person public comments. We would remind everyone to please keep them to 3 minutes and start by telling us your address and the school district in which you reside. This evening we have one, Mr. Dave Buck.
Mr. Buck, woo, nice. Dave Buck, I'm with the Webster Groves School District. I live at 6 Colonial Village apartments down the street. First of all, I just want to say cabaret is awesome. Second, and Joe, we know something about this, the boys swim team swims at the state meet this weekend, and I think they got a really good chance to place high. But I got to tell you, head coach Evan Spencer is the real deal, and I hope you keep her because I think some colleges are going to be after her big time. I mean, she is that good. Okay, a couple words about our superintendent search I've been thinking about. I believe that for some positions, hiring from the outside, it's in my experience, brings in new perspectives, new thinking. And it's interesting. Jason's from the outside. Sandy's from the outside. Sean's from the outside. Tia's from the outside. Jacob's from the outside. Derek's from the outside, you know, and they brought in, and they're terrific additions, and they brought in new thinking from their relative experiences in schools. But for the top job of superintendent, I am a promote from within guy all the way. John was this. The new Fort Zumwalt superintendent is this. I hope Howard Fields at Kirkwood is this. In fact, I would only look to the outside if the school district was drastically falling, because you want to get new and different thinking than the same old stuff. But that's not the case here. And I got to tell you, there are people right here in this room right now that I would put in that chair in a heartbeat. And that includes some of our awesome principals. One is here tonight. I hope some of them are applying because I think there's tremendous benefit from having people who know this school district and can hit the ground running. I know you guys are doing some interviews in December. I've thought of some questions that I would ask, and here they are. 1, what makes kids unique, wonderful, and essential to the world? That's 1. 2, fill in the blank. The purpose of education is blank. I think it'd be a fascinating question. 3, what is the #1 criteria by which you would measure the excellence or quality of this school district? 4, since the #1 determinant of student success is having an outstanding teacher in the classroom, what is the single most important skill or ability of a teacher? 5, what is your own leadership definition, model, or philosophy that guides your daily actions? 6, what is the best class you took in high school that has most positively impacted your entire life? For me, it's debate, by far. 7, if you could scrap DESE's 24 credit graduation requirement tomorrow and start over fresh from scratch with a clean slate, what would be your conceptual approach to curriculum? And give a few examples of the courses that you might offer. My own answer to that, Jason may know this, is that I'm not a fan of STEM. I'm not a fan of STEAM. I'm a fan of SMART, science plus math plus capital A-R-T, for liberal arts. 8, how would you propose closing once and for all the long-existing academic achievement gap in our district, or any district for that matter, between our black and white students? Those are questions. I'll email them to you. Thanks for listening, and good luck on your search. I hope you get somebody from the inside.
All right, thank you, Mr. Buck. Next, we are moving on to the Communications, Recognitions, and Information section. First up is our Learning Showcase with the Clark Family Groups.
Jason will introduce.
Well, Clark Elementary is going to be sharing more information with us about Clark family groups and what that structure looks like.
Good evening, y'all. I hope you'll forgive my attire. We are in the middle of a underground spirit week, which means just the staff are having a little fun this week, and today was monochromatic day. So hence the attire. I thought the HR department would be excited about that. I want y'all to imagine that you're coming to Clark as a prospective family and you're interested in who we are because you're going to have a kid that starts soon in elementary school. And as we go through the school, you are asking questions and learning more about Clark, and at the very end you ask that question that all prospective families ask, which is some iteration of the following. What makes Clark unique? What makes it stand out from the rest of the schools here? And then I take a big sigh and I say something like this. What makes us unique is that we really try hard to make this a safe place for all the people who come here so that they can be their best selves. And in so doing, that they'll grow. Now that doesn't sound that unique because there are many principals, there are many school leaders, there are many teachers out there who all believe that very thing. But I think we do a couple of things intentionally so that we feel safe, so that we can come be our best selves. The very first thing that we do every single day is that we open up softly at Clark from 7:35 to 7:45. Families gather on the playground and they play. From babies to adults. It's pretty fantastic. And the other thing that we do pretty intentionally so is that we create what we call family groups. And these family groups, well, I'll let Killian tell you all about family groups.
Hey, I'm Killian, a fifth grader at Clark Elementary. I've been here ever since I was an itty-bitty kindergartner. And the best thing over all my years has been family groups. So let's learn more about them. But first, a quiz. Question number 1. What are family groups? A. Groups of families that all wear silly hats. B. Families of groups that all wear silly socks. C. Gatherings of unicorns living deep in the sea. D. None of the above. Hopefully you guessed D. Did you? Okay, so let's ask the pros. What are family groups? Hey there, what's your name?
Alex,
What grade are you in?
kindergarten,
Alex, what are family groups?
that's a good question. I don't really know.
Hi, what's your name?
Leela,
What grade are you in?
I'm in third.
I got a question for you, Leah. Leela, what are family groups?
Family groups are this thing where you do crafts and stuff when you just like come together in this assigned group.
Let's get one final take on this question. Excuse me, we're looking for a serious answer to a very important question. What are family groups?
Oh, yes. Hello, Mr. Killian. Family groups are small groups of students from varying grades. These small groups are led by a staff member in the building. Family groups stay together for the duration of the student's tenure at Clark. So, for example, I have my own family group. It's Nurse Megan's family, and I have a fifth grader, a fourth grader, a third grader, a second grader, a first grader, and a kindergartner. And they get to stay with me the whole time they're at Clark. We do fun things every month, and we get to become a family.
Wonderful! Quiz time! Question number 2. Why do we do family groups at Clark? A. To grow closer as a community. B. To feel more comfortable at Clark with other adults. C. To be seen and heard by others. D. All of the above. Hopefully, you aced that one. Let's check in and see what some Clark Eagles have to say. Hey there, what's your name?
My name's James.
What grade are you in?
Kindergarten.
Why do we do family groups?
I think we do family groups to hang out.
Malia, why do you think we do family groups?
Because it's like fun to be in another class to learn stuff.
Hi, what's your name?
Mateo.
What grade are you in?
4th.
Why do we do family groups, Mateo?
To be with friends and be able to do more, have some fun with other grades that we don't normally get to do.
Perfect. Guess what time it is? It's quiz time. Question 3. Final question. What happens in family groups? A. We stand on our heads and count to 100. B. We spend each family group breakdancing. C. We spend time laughing, learning, and growing. D. Water balloons fights each and every family group. If you guess C, right on the spot. Let's check in with the guru of family groups, Mrs. Weatherby. Mrs. Weatherby, what happens during family groups? No. What kind of things do we do in family groups?
Well, we always start the year with some kind of connection activity where we get to know our new family group members. And we always take a picture, like this one was this year's, of our family group that each group can hang outside their classroom door. And then throughout the year, we do a variety of other activities. Usually we have a service project like making cards or wall decorations for a nursing or a retirement home. We usually have a game day where we play games together. There's it can be just a variety of things. We try to change it up a little bit every year. Every couple of years we do a scavenger hunt, and we always end the year with our field day where 3 or 4 family groups combine together and we have our fun field day together.
Finally, I'm curious what Clark Eagles love about family groups. Let's check in with them about that. Hey, what's your name?
Teddy,
What grade are you in?
4th.
Teddy. What is your favorite thing to do in family groups?
Probably get to know other people more.
One more question, Beth. What's your favorite thing about family groups?
I like field day because when we're doing like sports like soccer, we always do the family group cheer that we made up.
Typical 5th graders. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Okay. What's your name?
Elon.
What's your name?
Fiona.
What's your name?
Layton.
Question for you guys. What is your favorite thing to do in family groups?
Mine's probably all the cool art and the fun activities we get to do together.
Mine's the dance parties.
Mine's when we get to make service projects for the nursing home.
Well, I hope you can see why I said family groups is a pretty cool feature of Clark's. I know I sure do love being in Mrs. Green's family group. My favorite things about family group is field day. Signing off from Clark Elementary School, 5th grader Killian. Have a good night, y'all.
What that does for us is that creates a community that really comes together. So in the mornings on that soft start from that 7:35 to 7:45, you got the whole community out there. What's organically happened is this huge game of sharks and minnows across all grade levels. And every once in a while, you'll even see toddlers out there playing. And it's not really monitored by adults that much because they make up the rules themselves, and they always take care of the little ones first. It's a beautiful display of a community coming together, and I do believe family groups plays a big, big part of that. Thank y'all for letting me showcase family groups.
Thank you, Dr. Hayes. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Hayes as he scurries away?
Not a question as much as a comment. Get that young man a YouTube channel.
I'm just curious, from a staffing standpoint, how do you, is it one building person to 6? Is that,
Yeah, so it just kind of depends on where we are with staffing. So I've got 7. I think I've got 2 first graders. So sometimes you'll have a couple of kids from a couple of grade levels, but everyone has a family group, everybody from our admin assistant and everyone else. It's pretty fantastic, yeah. Our custodian, everyone, it's pretty great, yeah, yeah. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, next thing on the agenda is board candidate filing. As you guys know, there will be an election for the Webster Groves School Board on April 8th of 2025 next year. So we will, the board will be accepting, the district will be accepting people interested in filing for that office here at the admin office. Filing will begin on December 10th at 8 a.m. and will continue through regular business hours, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., except for 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. each day for a lunch break. Filing will end on December 31st when the office will be open from 4 until 5. Also good to point out that there will be a board candidate orientation, which will be before our next board meeting, so we'll point that out. It's on December 5th. It'll be here again at the admin office, the central office, at 5:30 p.m. All right, next thing on the agenda. Hey.
Yeah, good evening to everybody. The Turkey Day festivities are coming quickly. Super exciting. So what that can look like for the board is on Monday. The Monday of Thanksgiving week is our chili making from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. For all of you who can make it. No, it doesn't always, and just like with all the festivities, we know some people have other things going on. I feel like as long as we have 3 to 4 of us, we can make it. And the good news is we do get the big pot, the big drum. So that's huge. So if you can make it Monday 4:30 to 6 in the high school cafeteria, and Brittany and her team, as you know, always take care of us and support us as they do all the other groups. And then on, I'm sorry? Do we have a recipe? We're going to use the same one as last year. Which was a winner, or I thought it didn't actually win, but it was very good. It was good. Was that Alex's, or was that a different one?
Grace's last year.
Grace's last year was, yeah, it was really, yeah. So I still insist that if we weren't the board chili, if it was like kids chili, nothing, I think it would have won.
Dress up.
Right.
Can we name it like Charlotte's favorite?
Killian's chili. We should have him out there. It's a great idea. So that'll be on Monday, and that's 4:30 to 6. And then on Wednesday is when we serve. The event is from 5 to 7, and we have typically looked to split the shift. I kind of created just, again, always do the 4:45 to 6 o'clock shift, the 6 to 7:15. It's flexible. We always have enough people. But does anybody have a particular, again, if you could be there, a preference for the earlier or the latter shift? This year I usually try to be there the whole time, and but this year want to get up there to see our oldest and her little dance routine. So
I would prefer earlier too.
Okay.
For sure.
I'll take early too.
I can be there the whole time.
Okay.
Show up and
Okay.
I'll eat some chili if there's enough people there.
Okay. Grace. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm flexible too.
Okay.
I can be there.
Okay.
I'll plan on being there most of the time probably.
Okay. That sounds good. And then for the football game of course, the football game is always at high noon. It'll be the first time in the new stadium. And so what I would do is just reach out to me. Again, there aren't very many perks with your extraordinarily labor-intensive volunteer role, but one of them has always been a preferred parking spot for the game. So and it's not something that you give and then gift to somebody, it's something that you have to use. It might be worth, it would be worth something. So if you want a preferred parking spot, please reach out to me in advance so that we can make that happen. And where it typically is kind of in the parking lot that's behind where the concession stand and all that stuff is. And there's an entrance right there too. And then you're good to go. That's it for the festivities. Any questions about any of that? Okay, thank you.
All right. I found myself sort of channeling Killian's energy and sort of singing Turkey Day festivities. But next on the agenda is board calendar. I'm gonna save everyone and not sing that. We've just spent a lot of time talking about the calendar. I'm not sure there's anything else new on it.
No.
So just take a look at that if you have any questions. And then moving on to reports from the superintendent and staff, we'll start with the audit and Mr. Myers.
Good evening. In your board packet, you will find a draft copy of our audit report for the fiscal year 2023-2024. The audit was completed by Fick, Eggemeyer, and Williamson again this year. In summary, the audit states that we received an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, so this is the highest opinion that a district can receive. In addition, there were no noted significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, commonly known as audit findings. We had no audit findings this year. At the December meeting, our auditor will come and present the financial statements and the audit report. At that point, the board will take action to approve the audit report.
Questions at this point regarding?
Nope. And as Jacob said, we'll have another shot to ask questions when the auditor is actually here. Okay. Next on the agenda, then, the budget adjustment. We'll just stay with you, Jacob.
So as you know, the district prepares an audit or a budget for your approval in the late June's board meeting. During that time, we do our best to base our financial projections on the current information. So when we prepare that in June, we have not yet set the tax rate. We have not received our assessed valuation from the county. We don't know our full enrollment yet. And we do the best educated estimate that we can. As we progress through the year, we bring budget adjustments to the Board of Education. As we find out information, we prepare that information and present it to the board. Tonight is the first budget adjustment of the year. Just note that the budget is a living document, so as we live the document through the year, we always are going to be bringing additional adjustments as things come up. In terms of revenue, we have several items before you tonight. Current and delinquent taxes, $247,679 increase. This information was presented to you during the tax rate hearing in September. Most of that is in regards to the recoupment we were able to do. So just to remind you, the State Tax Commission issued some decisions, and we were able to kind of go back and recoup some of those funds. You'll see when we get to the next slide that we placed those expenditures, corresponding expenditures, into the Capital Projects Fund. So one-time revenues corresponding to one-time expenditures. Basic formula, our original estimate projected a slightly higher ADA for summer school. So as we moved through that, and DESE gave us our final numbers related to summer, we're going to reduce that down by $50,000. ESSER, this is our final allocation for ESSER. So this has been an ongoing thing since COVID. This is the final amount for the grant. It ended on September 30th. But this is just to capture the last expenditures and revenue that we received and expended from July 1st through September 30th. We also received a literacy grant, so you'll see the revenue related to that. You'll also see an increase in expenditures related to some of the grant expenditures we're able to do because we got that grant. Titles 1, 2, and 4, DESE provides us our final allocation after we've already adopted the budget, so we aren't 100% sure. We just have to go off of the preliminary. And typically during our first budget adjustment, we bring you the final allocations for those. We're also able to receive a menstrual products grant that we're able to purchase supplies for our facilities. Corresponding adjustments for expenditures. You'll see that additional ESSER and title funds, we believe that is going to go to professional services, so that's the corresponding expenditures for those grants. Each year for general supplies, we allocate a per pupil amount to each of our buildings, and so in June we use the estimated enrollment to calculate how much each building is going to get in terms of a budget. So after our September membership counts, we reevaluate the allocation, and then we adjust based on actual enrollment. Part of that, too, is we have historically allowed buildings to carry over their budget amounts. So whatever was unspent in the prior year, they are able to carry over into the next year. The purpose of that has always been if a building had a more long-term plan on some of the things that they wanted to do, they were able to kind of plan ahead and save for a couple years to do that larger project. Just to put it in comparison, that is $194,000 between the building budget adjustments, the literacy grant. But comparatively, last year we had over $400,000 in budget carryover. So buildings did a significantly better job of spending their budget allocations down, and we carried over significantly less this year. The final adjustment is related to capital projects. All of these things have been to the board for approval already. Like we mentioned in that September meeting, we wanted to use some of those recoupment funds to recover some of our capital projects. We had the Clark and Edgar Road rooftop unit replacements that we had to do this year. In addition, we are working through the Ambrose Playscape. We weren't sure how many expenditures we're going to hit in this fiscal year versus next fiscal year. So we're bringing that adjustment so that we can continue moving forward on that construction. This slide just shows you a comparison by fund. The June adopted budget as compared to the budget adjustment that we're providing you this evening. So this accounts for all of those revenue and expenditure changes we just went over. Overall, the amendment will create revenue of $79,126,71. This is for all funds, including debt service and the bond program. Expenditures of $91,598,613. So there is a $12 million deficit. $11 million of that is related to bonds. So we received the revenue last year, and we're working through those bond expenditures in the current year. So it's going to show a deficit when looking at all funds together. We show a breakdown of that true operating portion of the deficit on a later slide. That's here. So this is looking at general fund, teachers fund, and then capital projects fund. This is all of the revised numbers as recommended to the board. The original budget adopted in June, using the actual numbers at the end of 2024, will have produced a 52.11% fund balance percentage. If you revert back to your original budget document that was presented in June, you'll see that we presented a 48.99% fund balance estimate for the end of June 2025. The reason for that was that we came out slightly ahead and slightly better for June 2024 than we originally anticipated when we presented you the budget. So this is using the current ending balance and then the adopted revenues and expenditures. After this budget adjustment, it would bring the estimated operating fund balance percentage down to 51.58%. This is just a reminder of our breakdown in regards to our revenue. You'll notice that 86% of our revenue is tied to local revenue. So that's property taxes, sales taxes, and other local revenue, whereas only 11% is dictated by the state of Missouri, 1% for county revenue, and 2% for federal revenue. This is a breakdown of our current budget by object type. If we were not in the middle of a bond issue, you would see that salary and benefits would be significantly higher. But since we have $11 million of anticipated capital outlay in addition to what we would typically spend, that 16% is really abnormal if you're not in the middle of a bond. If you're looking at just operating expenditures, about 80% of the budget is related to salaries and benefits. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have about the budget adjustment number 1.
Thank you, Jacob. Anybody have questions for Mr. Myers?
Just going back a few slides when you mentioned the fund balance, the initial projection was, I feel like you said around 48% for where we were going to finish this year. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Yes. So essentially, when the budget's created in June, we use a starting point of July 1st, 2024, but we aren't there yet by the time we prepare the budget. So we use the last estimated budget value. So using that estimate, we were predicting 48.99%. When we finished better off than we originally anticipated, we were able to bump up the beginning estimate, which is what propped up that fund balance percentage.
Okay. Thank you.
I have an additional question. If you go back a slide, I think before that, I want to be sure I'm reading this correctly. So the deficit now, with bonds taken out of it, is almost $2 million. Is that right? 1.99.
That's correct. So that's looking at operating, which is general and teachers, and then capital projects as well.
Yeah.
The original budget had about a $1.5 million deficit.
Okay.
And then as you add in that additional capital projects expenditures and the carryover amount, that's what increased that deficit to just under 2.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have questions for Mr. Myers? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the budget adjustment. Number 1 is presented. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, that carries 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Myers. On to the consent agenda items.
You can do it in one fell swoop now, right?
Mhm. Yeah. So on to the consent agenda items. Does anybody have any objections to the consent agenda? Hearing none, consent agenda item is approved. So I would entertain a motion for executive.
So moved.
Roll call vote, please.
Yes, sorry, I didn't hear you. Ms. Quinn? Mr. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Todd?
Yes.
Ms. Shear?
Yes.
Dr. Lee?
All right, we are in executive. If we can take a 3-minute bio break, and then we will get back together. Thanks, everyone.